Hello, welcome back. This is Robert Ralph, a freelance writer and content creator. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I wanted to talk about 4 different tips that you could possibly think of to start your writing journey online. I remember going back a couple of years now where I thought that I might try and dabble in the world of writing, and it was a really scary thought. Things that went across my mind is, am I any good? What should I write about? And when I do write, will it really be worth the time and effort? So there's some of the questions that I had. I'm pleased to say, as you obviously know, I decided to go for it. What's the worst that can happen? So I started my writing career on a platform called Medium. If you'd like to join me on the Medium platform, I will link my referral link in the description below, so feel free to use that and join our community. That being said, let's move on to tip number 1. So my first tip would be just start free writing. Don't worry about publishing too quickly. Get your pen and paper or your writing tool and just jot down your thoughts. Very often having that mind dump on paper starts your creative cogs working. So start free writing, just write some short stories or just write down some of the things that you know about, some of the things that are easy to transfer from your mind onto paper, and just start there. So possibly, like I said, write about a topic that you know about, write about a topic that you're interested in, or just put some personal stories on pen to paper. And if you think that they're good enough for people to read, then maybe you can start thinking about adding those to a site like Medium and see if you get some sort of audience in there. So start free writing, don't get too much of a niche starting off, and see where that takes you. Tip number 2 might sound like an obvious one, but it isn't, and it's something that I neglected when I first started reading. When I first started, I give it away. When I first started writing, is I didn't read anything. To be honest, I'm dyslexic, and I find it very, very hard to read. And I don't enjoy reading that much either, or I didn't when I first started writing. I had read a couple of autobiographies over the years. I concentrated on people that I liked. You're going to kill me for this one, but I was absolutely in love with a woman called Eureka Johnson. So I read her autobiography, which was honest. And then I really, really like a guy called Alan Sugar, and I started to read some of his books as well. So that's what I've done previously, and I'm going back now probably 10, 15 years ago. I started on Medium about 2 years ago, maybe just under, and I didn't do a lot of reading. However, since I've started reading, I feel that my writing skills have got far, far better, just purely because I understand what the professionals are doing. So if you can kind of do a lot of reading, or make sure you spend a couple of hours a week doing that, that will really help you start your writing career. Again, this is assuming that you're not reading already. Tip number 3 is pure and simple. Set yourself some realistic goals. Do not go hell for leather at the start of your writing career. It needs to be something that you can be sustainable on. One of the things that I've learned on the platform of Medium is to be consistent. There is no point writing 10 stories over 5 days and then doing nothing for the rest of the month. You are far better maybe doing 2 or 3 stories and articles a week and staying consistent within that process, rather than chopping and changing and going through fits and spurts, because any audience that you actually capture, if you're not posting for a couple of weeks, you might lose those to other writers. So consistency is key. I would suggest setting yourself a goal of particular days of the week that you wish to write, and then setting yourself some sort of time scale within those days. So as an example, you might be free to write on a Thursday and a Sunday, as an example, 2 days a week. And you might be able to set aside 4 hours a time for each of those days. So you get 8 hours of writing every single week. You might be able to do more or less. I'm choosing those days because I don't work on a Thursday and I don't work on a Sunday. Well, in my full-time job, I will say. So I know that I have some time on those days to kind of set out what I want to do and do some content creating, or in this particular case, do some writing. So I tend to have a little brainstorming session, maybe throughout the week, and on a Thursday, basically put some topics down that I want to write about, possibly some headings, possibly some pictures, and possibly an introduction. And then Sunday, I tend to go full whack on filling in the gaps and finishing off those stories, so that I can post maybe 3 or 4 stories throughout the week. So that's done, an hour or two during the week, and then having maybe 3 or 4 hours on a Thursday and 3 or 4 hours on a Sunday just to complete that work. Set yourself some goals that is realistic, that you can sustain for the long term. That's tip number 3. Tip number 4, editing. It sounds simple. I mean, you've written an absolutely awesome story. Why would you need to edit it? Probably because you've made mistakes. Do not strive for perfection. Do not over edit your articles. But once you've written your article, I would certainly maybe leave it half an hour or so. Go back with a fresh pair of eyes and reread it. You will find ways that you can improve that article, whether it's purely flow, whether it's grammar, or whether it's something else within the article that you're not particularly happy with. It might be a change of title or a change of picture. You might want to get your spouse or your friends kind of feedback on that as well. So I would always go back, maybe leave it half an hour after you've written an article, go back with a fresh pair of eyes, re-look at it and see if you can improve it. Sometimes, not always, sometimes I will leave it 24 hours and go and look at it again. You can't over edit. And I say that with a slight churn in my stomach, because don't ever strive for perfection. You will not satisfy 100% of your audience. That's not going to happen. What you need to do is satisfy yourself that you're producing the best article or story to the best of your ability. That is good enough. So let's just go over those 4 tips once again. The 4 tips to start your writing career. Tip number 1 is free writing. Tip number 2 is read. Tip number 3, set goals that are realistic to you and your lifestyle. And tip number 4 is embrace editing, because there's lots of joy to be given in your editing section. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing and give me a thumbs up. It really does help the channel. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks for now.